Dracula by Bram Stoker. Full detailed summary. Chapters 1 to 4. Jonathan Harker's journey to Castle Dracula. Jonathan Harker, a young English solicitor, is sent by his law firm to Transylvania to assist Count Dracula with the purchase of a house in England. He travels through Eastern Europe, noting the strange superstitions and eerie behavior of the locals. Upon arrival, he is met by Dracula's coachman, actually Dracula himself in disguise, and taken to the Count's remote castle. Though Dracula is courteous at first, Jonathan soon realizes he is a prisoner. He discovers that the Count is no ordinary man. He casts no reflection, never eats, and has supernatural strength. Dracula interrogates Jonathan about England, learning its customs and language. Jonathan also finds letters he had written to Mina Murray, his fiancée, but realizes they were never sent. One night, Jonathan discovers Dracula crawling down the castle wall like a lizard. He also encounters 3 seductive vampire women, the brides of Dracula, who nearly feed on him, but Dracula intervenes. The Count later departs the castle with boxes of Transylvanian earth, leaving Jonathan to be fed upon by the vampire women. Desperate, Jonathan escapes through a window and is found delirious in a hospital in Budapest. Chapters 5 to 8. England and the arrival of Dracula. Back in England, Mina Murray corresponds with her best friend, Lucy Westenra. Lucy is a beautiful, vivacious young woman who has received marriage proposals from 3 men: Dr. John Seward, Quincy Morris, an American, and Arthur Holmwood, who she accepts. Meanwhile, Mina travels to Whitby to stay with Lucy, unaware of Jonathan's fate. A Russian ship called the Demeter runs aground in Whitby during a storm. The entire crew is dead, and the captain is found lashed to the helm, his journal recording strange happenings and a fearsome presence aboard. A large dog-like creature is seen leaping from the ship. The Count has arrived. Soon after, Lucy begins to sleepwalk and grows increasingly pale and weak. Mina catches her outside at night with a figure bent over her. Dr. Seward, now running an insane asylum nearby, is called in. Unable to explain Lucy's decline, he contacts his old mentor, Professor Abraham Van Helsing. Van Helsing arrives and begins treating Lucy with blood transfusions and garlic, recognizing signs of a vampire attack. Despite their efforts, Lucy dies and becomes one of the undead, preying on children in the area. Van Helsing, Arthur, Quincy, and Seward eventually track her to her tomb and drive a stake through her heart, releasing her soul. They then decapitate her and fill her mouth with garlic. Chapters 9 to 14. Mina, Jonathan, and Dracula's plans. Jonathan recovers and returns to England with Mina, and they marry. He shares his harrowing journal with Van Helsing. Van Helsing begins assembling all the journals, letters, and accounts from the group to understand Dracula's moves. They learn Dracula is using boxes of his native soil to hide in and rest. These boxes have been distributed across London. Renfield, a patient in Seward's asylum, shows signs of being influenced by Dracula. He consumes insects and animals, claiming to absorb their life force. Mina begins working with the team, typing up the journals and comparing notes. Slowly, they piece together Dracula's plan to create a foothold in England and spread his undead curse. Chapters 15 to 21. The Hunt in London. Van Helsing and the others locate and cleanse several of the earth-filled boxes, rendering them useless to Dracula. The Count retaliates by attacking Mina, forcing her to drink his blood, and thus forming a psychic connection between them. Through hypnosis, Van Helsing uses Mina's bond to track Dracula's movements. Renfield, briefly lucid, tries to warn them of Mina's danger, but is mortally injured by Dracula. Before dying, he provides clues that lead the team to Mina, who is found with Dracula feeding on her. They now know time is short. If Dracula can escape and rest in his castle, he will become too powerful. The group vows to pursue him to Transylvania and destroy him once and for all. Chapters 22 to 24. The journey back to Transylvania. The group splits into teams to track Dracula's transport by boat and land. Mina's hypnosis sessions guide them. Dracula uses gypsies, Scani, as escorts and guards. The men travel across Europe to intercept the Count before he reaches his castle. Tensions run high, and everyone is exhausted. Yet Mina's strength and courage never waver. Despite being partially turned, she continues to help, even as Van Helsing protects her from the Count's influence with holy symbols. Chapters 25 to 27. The final confrontation, Van Helsing and Mina arrive near Dracula's castle. While Mina rests within a protective circle, Van Helsing enters the castle and destroys Dracula's 3 brides. Meanwhile, Jonathan, Quincy, Arthur, and Seward intercept Dracula's caravan. In a final battle, they fight off the Susgani. Jonathan and Quincy reach the box containing the Count just as night falls. Jonathan slits Dracula's throat with a kukri knife, and Quincy stabs him through the heart. Dracula disintegrates, and Mina is freed from his influence. The scar on her forehead vanishes. Quincy dies of his wounds, proud and at peace. Epilogue. 7 years later, Jonathan and Mina have a son named Quincy. The group remains close. They reflect on the events, knowing history may not record their deeds, but their legacy is in the peace and love they preserved. Conclusion. Dracula is a powerful exploration of good versus evil, science versus superstition, and love versus corruption. Told through a tapestry of journal entries and letters, the novel captures the anxieties of a rapidly changing world while delivering timeless thrills. Stoker's work remains a cornerstone of Gothic horror for its unforgettable characters and chilling themes.